I don't have a boyfriend, I don't have a baby, I don't have a house, I don't have a marriage.
I've cheated on my husband over 20 times and I don't bother hiding it because
Why are women filing for divorce so much more than men now?
I should be able to walk away at least with $1 million I want.
And I chose to leave the man. I was going to get married. He was perfect on paper.
So even a perfect man isn't enough for a woman in marriage. No wonder men are done with it.
Love to be a stay-at-home mom. I would love to be a homemaker and a wife. I would love to be able to live on a homestead.
Have you guys noticed that most married men aren't actually happy? Most married...
I don't think men like women anymore. I don't think that men desire...
The fault lies with modern women. It was them who pushed men away from even trying. Kindly subscribe to the channel, as it further supports us in our work. Thank you.
We were talking about, how so many married women are cheating on their husbands.
I totally agree that the big divorce is coming and it's going to be a rude awakening for men.
My desire today is no longer there anymore. Like, how is it?
It turns out I actually may be the problem.
Men are not afraid of marriage so much as they are afraid, or when it does.
I've had my husband blocked on TikTok for years because, like I said before, my activity on the internet is none of his business.
Are you stupid?
Why do married women cheat?
They didn't marry the person they truly wanted to marry. The biological clock hit them and they married who was available at the time. And they might have had an ex that they idolized. They might have had something else. They didn't marry correctly. They didn't choose the person that they wanted to marry. They chose the person who wanted to marry them.
This is true, and it happens when these women hit the wall, when their looks start to fade, and the attention they once effortlessly got begins to disappear. At that point, they're no longer picking from the top shelf. They're settling and taking whatever man is available. But deep down, they still crave the man they couldn't lock down in their prime, the one who had options, who didn't chase them, who wasn't easy to control. That's why so many married women end up cheating on their husbands. They may have secured a stable guy, someone who provides and sticks around, but he's not the one they truly wanted. He's just the one who was there when reality set in. So even in marriage, they're still fantasizing about someone else. They chase emotional validation, excitement, or that spark they feel is missing, because the marriage wasn't built on love. It was built on timing and convenience.
Any girl that is paying over $3,000 in bills on her own every single month is not interested in you texting her, "What are you doing?" We're just not interested in that. What am I doing? I'm working. I'm making money. I'm keeping my house clean. That's what I'm doing. I have fucking bills to pay. I got shit to do. I swear to God, I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. This, I can't.
I may not be over the situation because you were just so disrespectful, but I'm most definitely over you. So please don't come back. And if you ever think that you want to come back, please think again. Please.
He gave me everything I wanted. He had all the money. He was a very gentleman. He worked very hard. I worked very hard. My kids are grown. It wasn't like he was raising my kids.
So what's the issue?
The connection was not there.
Mm-hmm. How much was he bringing in per year?
Roughly? A year?
Yeah. Roughly.
It was $2 million a year.
Okay.
So he was making probably $150K a month, probably.
A little bit more. He don't drink. He don't smoke. He worked really hard. It was no problem about my phone, his phone, cheating. It was none of that. It was just the connection was not there.
At what point is enough enough? Because you left a guy that was pretty much taking care of you pretty much. And let's just say he wasn't the best guy possible for fun. He still was there for you, but you married him.
Yeah, of course I did.
But you kind of gave up a good guy because you weren't happy.
Exactly.
Understandably, I get your point of view, but then I question, who's going to do that for you next?
Amazing, isn't it? Even a guy making $2 million a year still wasn't enough for this woman. And as she stated, he gave her everything she ever wanted. The lifestyle, the security, the comfort, the luxury. He did his part as a provider, and probably more. But a reason for destroying the relationship? The connection wasn't there. Was it not also not there while he was providing, while he was giving, while he was sacrificing his time, energy, and probably his peace, just to make sure she had the life she dreamed of? Funny how the connection only seems to matter once she's secured the benefits. The truth is that so-called connection is often code for excitement, validation, or drama, things she probably associated with the guys who didn't treat her half as well. What this really shows is that no matter how much a man provides, sacrifices, or gives, if she's not emotionally invested, nothing will ever be enough. You could move mountains, but if she's chasing a feeling or an idealized fantasy in her head, she'll still find a reason to leave.
Women tend to be more unhappily married than men.
And 80% of the time, women bring up problems in a relationship.
But 69% of all problems are not solvable.
So if you rely on problems getting solved as an indicator of the success of the relationship, it's not going to look good.
100% proof why men nowadays just aren't interested anymore. Women are the toxic problems in relationships. They point out perpetual problem to mask their own fails as a form of projection. It's pure denialism via blame the male. They're literally saying marriage should be off the table, period. Especially if you're a man. So women are unhappier, they bring more problems, and those problems aren't solvable. No wonder why men die younger.
You work hard all day, and then you get home to an ungrateful partner who is constantly asking you to do more and more around the house. Men don't get married. It's not worth it.
If women can get pregnant once in the space of 9 months, once, but men can impregnate many women in the space of 9 months, shouldn't birth control be for men and not women? Suspicious behavior.
Are you stupid?
So I saw this trend on TikTok, and it was this girl saying, why don't men want to get married? Men would stitch it. And all the reasons they gave were hunky-dory. All of them. But here's one thing, okay? If there's one thing I've learned in business, which you should treat your marriage like a business, aka get a prenuptial agreement. That's the least you could do, but never sign a contract with somebody who benefits from breaking that contract. If men had, or if there were laws in place that insured men financially, anything, like after the divorce, kind of like how women are insured, things would be a lot different. Thank you.
Never sign a contract with someone who benefits from breaking the contract. The best summary ever. I have been married and put through the divorce process. As a man, I will never make that same mistake twice. The family courts are 90% anti-male. A wise man learns from mistakes of his own, yet a wiser man learns from mistakes of others, and that's why I will never get married or have children. The thing is, even when men do get a prenup to protect themselves, there's still a possibility that the prenup doesn't even hold up in court. It depends on how long the marriage lasted, how the terms were structured, whether both parties had legal representation, and if the court deems it unfair at the time of divorce. Judges can toss out prenups if they feel one party would be left at a significant disadvantage, especially if kids are involved or if the woman gave up her career during the marriage. So even with legal protection, men are still gambling. The cold, hard truth is that men are in love and women are in business, and men need to change that. Too many guys walk into relationships with their hearts wide open, ready to give everything, while a lot of women are calculating what they can gain. Marriage, for men, is a high-risk, low-reward gamble, and until men start approaching relationships with the same strategy and caution that many women do, they'll keep getting played. Stay vigilant.
I'm going to go ahead and speak for all women here. Not a single one of us gives a single about why men are leaving. The problem is our standards are up here and you can't meet.
I've never hated another person more than I hate the person that I married. He goes to work. Yeah, his job's hard. Yeah, his hours suck. He works. That is all he does. Yeah, I don't work, but the amount of weight I carry, I can tell you why I've stayed. Money. It's that simple. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom.
My husband left the night that I posted that original video.
Yes! Hell yeah!
You're punished if you if you do the patriarchal thing and pay all the bills. You're actually punished for it in court, and your child support payment. Like, I just interviewed a guy in, I think it was Idaho, and he supported his wife, had 5 kids for 20 years. And she divorced him And he now has to delay his retirement by 12 years. He's in his 50s, 60s, around there. So I think I calculated it out. He'd be 69 when he could actually retire. Was that worth it? She alienated the kids from him. Now his kids don't like him.
This is the price to pay as a good man, huh? So this man did everything right. He took care of the family, provided, protected, stayed loyal, stayed faithful. He was the man women claim they want. Consistent, responsible, emotionally available. For 20 years, he dedicated his life to them. He sacrificed his own dreams to build a future for his wife and kids. And people wonder why good men are walking away from marriage, from commitment, from the very idea of building a future with someone who could just walk away when it no longer feels right. Why would a man invest years, sometimes decades, into a relationship only to risk losing everything in an instant? His kids, his home, his peace of mind, even his identity as a father and husband, all ripped away, not because he failed, but because she changed her mind. No accountability, no real consequences, just, I'm not happy, and suddenly his entire life gets turned upside down.
Do you know that women leave men 80% of the time? And if they're college educated, it's 90.
The statistic you just saw is 100% true. Women initiate divorce over 60% of the time, and if they're college educated, it is over 80% of the time. And there's a lot of psychology behind this, but in speaking with my female clients who are initiating divorce, a lot of this is a frustration over being a high earner and high achiever in the workplace, but then coming home and not feeling like they have an equal partner at home in the household duties and with the children duties. They feel like they are pulling double duty while their spouse is not carrying their weight. I see this time and time again with high performing and high income earning females. What are your thoughts?
Have you guys noticed that most married men aren't actually happy? Most married men are lying to themselves and gaslighting themselves into thinking that they're happy in a marriage which is loveless, sexless, where the woman always argues and belittles and emasculates them. Their wife endlessly nags at them while they're working full-time, trying to provide for her, for the family. Women will often victimize themselves and say that their mental load is overbearing. Meanwhile, the man has to look at the big picture, worry about the wife, the kids, working every day, endlessly paying for all of the bills, providing. He has to worry about investments, about retirement, about the college funds for the kids. Meanwhile, the woman only has to worry about preparing dinner, keeping the house clean, making sure that the kids are happy and healthy. The woman will say that she's overstimulated just because she has to cook dinner and keep the house clean. But they never stop to consider the mental load that men have. Most men stay in relationships so they don't lose everything, so they can see their kids and they don't have to split custody. It's truly so sad how many men gaslight themselves into staying in a relationship where both parties are not happy and they feel like they can't speak up because they have a wife who berates them or emasculates them and belittles them on the daily.
Once again, that's because men are sacrificial beings. Even if they're unhappy in the marriage, they'll still stay. They'll endure the silence, the cold stares, the emotional distance, not because they're weak, but because they believe in duty. They believe in protecting what they built, in being there for their kids, in honoring the vows they made, even if those vows are no longer being returned. But I personally think that hurts them more, because even though the marriage is loveless, sexless, and emotionally draining, they stay hoping something will change, hoping she'll come back around. But every day they stay, a part of them dies slowly. Their mental health declines. Their self-worth takes hit after hit. They start to feel invisible in their own home, needed but never appreciated, present but never truly seen. And the worst part? When the woman finally leaves, society doesn't ask what he endured. Nobody asks about the years he spent emotionally starved. He just gets told to man up and move on.
I don't know when we're finally going to realize that men in their 40s are not to be messed around with. I mean, he can absolutely admire a woman, but when that woman takes him for granted, that man is going to be gone. Because trust me, he's already experienced a one-sided relationship where his love and affection was never appreciated. So when he starts to see signs of this, he is just done. No warning, no explanation, he is just gone.
What the fuck is up with dating? I have a girlfriend who was with her guy for a year. Like, they were fully together for a year, and he just ghosted her last week. Like, when do we decide?
One guy who for sure made me come in my entire life, and literally when I got divorced, I looked him up and I was like, where is he? He used to play basketball on the Marquette team. He never went pro. I was like, where did he go? He became a pastor. And him and his wife share an Instagram. So I'm like, this is going to be tricky to get to him, but I will go to a confessional.
He's like, hey, Brittany, you can come to church.
Yeah,
You can come to
exactly.
church.
I'll be like, daddy. He'll be like, you mean father?
You need help.
Finally off on your date.
Well, this is starting out nicely. A friend wishing another friend a good time on their date.
I hope they fucking hate each other so badly. Oh my god.
Oh dear, it seems like someone's true colors are coming out.
I cannot afford to lose my only single friend.
It's so nice to see women supporting other women, isn't it?
Like, seriously, the state needs to go back, or I'm going to be really, really upset.
I hope this was a skit, because if it's not, I would say that someone could definitely do better in the friend department than to have someone that would say one thing to their face and another thing completely different behind their back and then post it on social media of all things. But if it is a skit, it actually is an excellent example of how oftentimes it is some single women that really want to seem to keep other women single because they don't want to be the only ones left unmatched. And it is really unfortunate that many of us out there have had friends like this in the past that would rather have someone to keep them company in their own misery than to see someone actually be happy.
Misery sure does love company. Instead of being genuinely happy for her friend going on a date and possibly finding a good man, a potential husband, she's sitting there hoping the date goes badly, not because the guy's a bad person, not because she wants to protect her friend, but simply because she doesn't want to lose her single friend. Why? Because she herself is still single, and misery doesn't like being alone. When I say women are each other's biggest enemy, this is exactly what I mean. A lot of women will claim to support each other, to uplift one another, but behind closed doors, there's jealousy, competition, and subtle sabotage. Some women would rather watch their friends stay stuck in the same lonely cycle, just so they don't have to feel left behind. That fake support turns real cold the moment one friend starts leveling up in life, especially in love. This is the kind of behavior that exposes the truth behind all the girl power talk. It's all good until one of them gets what the rest are still chasing.
Nobody talks about what happens when you finally get the most perfect man. Everything's great, everything's healthy, there's nothing wrong with the man, but you know that he's just not your perfect man. Nobody talks about that. That is an extremely hard situation. I just had to cut off somebody because they were literally, it was perfect, but I knew deep down and I knew in my intuition they weren't my perfect man. And I feel like that is not talked about enough.
I don't know if I only see this shit on TikTok, but it's like the dumbest and most maddening and nonsensical things I can ever see. And this is why just good men have given up. It's like, oh, it's not, there's 3 billion men in the world or something like that. Of course, mathematically, you can find somebody else that's going to be a perfect man match for you. But why not work on the one that's right in front of you? It doesn't make any sense. Please, somebody explain this bullshit logic to me. Or is it does she just want to keep, just date a bunch of different guys and sleep around? I don't know. Tell me.
This literally makes no sense. And it's a walking contradiction. She had to cut off a man, even though he was perfect. But because he wasn't her version of perfect, she had to let him go. Like, what kind of perfect are you even looking for, lady? A mind reader, a millionaire therapist with six-pack abs and 0 flaws. This is the delusion a lot of modern women live in. They claim they want a good man, but when one shows up, they find reasons to nitpick, overthink, and self-sabotage. Suddenly, being too available is a turn-off. Being too kind is boring. Being consistent is seen as lacking excitement. So they walk away from the man they'll one day wish they'd kept, because they were too focused on chasing an illusion instead of appreciating reality. Because perfect doesn't exist. And if you let go of good because it wasn't your fairy tale fantasy, then don't be shocked when you end up alone, replaying what you lost over and over again in your head.
Anyone else literally wonder who is giving men this type of fucking confidence? You can't be over here telling me you're not ready for something serious when you've literally got a receding hairline. Like, you need to get a move on and find someone and settle down before literally all of the hairs on your head are just gone. Just a thought.
Anyone who's not convinced yet that the big divorce is coming,
I totally agree that the big divorce is coming and it's going to be a rude awakening for men. Well, I hope it's the rude awakening that men have needed for thousands of years.
I have 4 big things to say about this, but first of all, I'm not quite sure where this belief came from that if more women divorce their husbands, that these men are just going to believe that it was all their fault and they're going to grow and get better. No, there's never just fault on one side, and men know that. Second of all, most men that go through divorce end up losing a lot in the form of lost time with their children and financially through spousal support and child support. So many men just feel victimized by the court system. Thirdly, a lot of these men that get put through the ringer, they eventually build themselves back and they realize that they're a lot happier being single. It's actually a lot more peaceful for them. And fourthly and lastly, a lot of men never want to get married again, or in the first place, because they hear women like this talking about divorce as if it's some sort of punishment for her not being happy, as if his needs and the family's needs have nothing to do with it. And men are smarter than that. They don't want any part of it.
Yeah. This is just one of those delusional ideas where women believe that if they divorce their husbands, the man will just sit there blaming himself, thinking he was the problem. They convince themselves that he'll be heartbroken, regretful, and maybe even come crawling back. A lot of these women are chasing false empowerment, believing that leaving a stable home, a faithful husband, and a complete family is somehow finding themselves. They're fed this nonsense by social media, modern feminism, and bitter influencers who glamorize divorce like it's a glow-up. But in reality, they're following these ridiculous ideas without thinking it through, without realizing that they're trading long-term stability for short-term emotion. They don't consider the kids who now grow up in a broken home, or the husband who gave them everything only to be cast aside. They don't think about the pain they'll feel years later when they realize the grass wasn't greener, and that real love isn't something you throw away when it stops feeling exciting.
In general, good men are steady and consistent and predictable. It's why as women, we think you're boring. As women in general, we like chaos and drama and disruption of routine. That's what makes us feel alive and engaged in life, because we want to do what we want to do. Structure holds us accountable, and we don't want accountability. So we want to do what we want to do when we want to do it and thrive on that instability, because again, it makes us feel engaged and alive. Ergo, why we are attracted to bad boys, because they're chaotic and we think that's exciting and it adds drama and passion to our lives.
One thing I will never understand is girls having to give their boyfriends a timeline of when they need to propose or else they'll leave. I have known and heard of so many stories of girls being like, yeah, I told him that if he doesn't propose by the end of this year, I'm breaking up with him. If he doesn't propose by next month, I'm breaking up with him. My thing is they should want to propose to you. They should want to marry you. There shouldn't have to be like a deadline on it. And I totally understand having conversations like, you know, we're getting to the point in our relationship where I would like to be engaged soon. Like, how are you feeling about it? And like communicating about it. But usually when girls are putting like a deadline on things is because it's not happening. Like, if you want engagement and marriage, show it to your partner. Engagement should be a positive thing. It shouldn't be something that you have to force the other person into doing or giving them a deadline just so you get a ring. And then in the back of your head, you're thinking like, okay, well, did he only propose to me because I said he would leave him if he didn't? Did he actually want to propose to me? If I didn't say that, how long would it have taken him to propose? He should propose because he fucking wants to, bitch. You shouldn't have to force him into it.
Well, one thing I don't get is why women feel the need to give their man a timeline to marry them. It's like they treat marriage as some kind of deadline-driven project, rather than something that should grow naturally from love. The thing is, if you show a man you're genuinely worth it, through loyalty, peace, support, he will marry you. You won't need ultimatums or pressure tactics, but a lot of women set these timelines because they're chasing a fantasy, the ring, the wedding, the Instagrammable moment, not the reality of building a life with someone. And truthfully, that's a red flag. If your motivation is more about keeping up with friends, posting the ring on social media, or living out the fairy tale in your head, you're not ready for the real work that comes with marriage. This woman said a man should want to propose to his woman, but that's not how it works when you're giving him deadlines and threats. That's not love, that's control.
No, because, how do you expect me to be submissive to you if you don't have any money? What am I submitting to? Poverty?
And you really think that type of attitude is going to attract a man with money? It doesn't matter if he has a lot of money or no money. A man does not want to be objectified based on his wallet, and he doesn't want to be used for his money either. It's really that simple. And I don't know why it's so hard for toxic women to understand, but this is why a lot of men don't want to date anymore. And who could blame them?
Wait till he finds out he can't actually pull really hot girls because he pulled you. Wait till he finds out you lowered your standards for him and went for personality. Never go for personality again. Look at that.
Why are you saying this like it's some sort of flex? So you lowered your standards for what? So you could hold it against him later? You're just mad that your ex that you secretly believe that has always been beneath you no longer worships the ground that you walk on. And just so you know, the majority of men would much rather have a woman that's pretty or beautiful or even average over a woman that's a 10 if that means her personality is going to be wonderful, if she's going to be kind, sweet, and humble. Because a lot of men know that a woman's looks bring less to the table than her overall personality. Most men want peace more than anything, and a good woman brings just that. She doesn't have to be a supermodel. So go ahead, don't date for personality ever again. Leave those good men alone.
That's exactly what's lacking in modern women today, personality. And the sad part is, many don't even see it. They've been taught that their looks are their greatest asset, so they invest all their energy into makeup, filters, angles, and surgeries, but never into who they are as a person. In the long run, it's personality that keeps a man around. A man can get used to beauty. After a while, it's not enough to just be pretty. He starts looking at the energy you bring into his life. Are you peaceful or chaotic? Supportive or draining? Can he talk to you without being judged? Do you build him up or tear him down over little things? Because when life gets real, when stress hits, when money's tight, when he's emotionally worn out, he's not thinking about your eyelashes or your Instagram selfies. He's thinking, can I trust this woman to be by my side when I'm down? Can I be vulnerable with her? Is she my peace or my pressure?
I am a chronically single 27-year-old, and I'm going to tell you my top 5 most annoying things I hear all the time. They drive me nuts, and if I hear them one more time, I'm gonna kick someone in the shin. When you least expect it, it will happen. It's time. I'm 27 years old. I have stopped looking for it. I've kind of given up, but come on. I'm ready to get this. Number 2, you have to love yourself before you can love someone else. I know some girls that do not love themselves, and they have a 7-carat ring, and I want a 7-carat ring, and I love myself. So that one just annoys the shit out of me. The third thing I hear all the time is you just have to put yourself out there. You mean I can't be Rapunzel forever? No. The next one, number 4, just really revs my engine. I think that's the saying. And it's, you're still so young. You have so much time. I thought I was going to be married with 3 kids by 25. And I'm 27, going to be 28 in September. And I am just here it could all be so simple. I could be on the yacht and with my husband sailing the Mediterranean. Can you just see me doing that? Because I can see myself doing that. I forgot one, and that is number 5. Maybe coming in at first place is when people tell me, drum roll please, so are you still single? Your standards are way too high. No, they're not. Your standards are way too low because in your 30s, you're probably going to be getting divorced and I will be happily married. living my life with my husband and my babies. Just kidding. I don't wish that on anyone, but seriously, it is the most annoying thing. It's like, I am trying my hardest to find someone. So I don't know. And it's even worse when people that are married tell you these things, because it's like, you don't get it. You're not in your apartment on a random Tuesday by yourself crying, because it's like, what am I doing wrong? Anyways, guys, love you. Bye.
Well, you're probably not doing anything wrong. You likely just started taking dating seriously a little late. And that's more common than people realize. There are actually tons of women on TikTok right now saying they're chronically single, posting videos of themselves crying, saying they just want a good man, wondering why no one is choosing them. A lot of these women thought love would be waiting for them whenever they were ready, but dating doesn't work like that. Timing matters. Energy matters. And so does the way you treated people when you had the upper hand. That's why so many are now waking up in their 30s or 40s, realizing that the dating game isn't as easy as it once was, and that options shrink fast when you're no longer the one being chased. So yeah, you're probably not doing anything wrong now. But a lot of people underestimate how much their past choices and mindset play a role in what's available to them today.
How much should a man spend on an engagement ring?
It should be something that comes out of your heart and what you feel for that woman, for that lady. If you feel that she's valuable, she's bringing you up, you would know how much you will spend on that woman.
I like ring pops. I don't know if you should say that to me.
You want to give her a ring pop, it's all how she's going to take it. Get a ring that you can afford. If she's not appreciated, then she's not the one.
She doesn't deserve that ring.
She doesn't deserve you.
Ring.
My ex-fiance hated the ring I got for her, and it really hurt me, you know?
And she didn't love you.
No, it sucks. I took the ring back to Goodwill.
Bruh.
Luckily, we got everything back.
She didn't love you, honey. That's all. She didn't love you.
You, on why I'm leaving this side of it, because the expectations are so unrealistic. Because you can't have expectations like that and no preparation. You don't even study men. Like, how do you want a man and you don't study even how to talk to a man? You don't even study, how men process. You don't even study
so much ego and pride. There's nothing. It's just they demand these traditional, like I said, traditional men, but they want to be modern and wonder why they're not attracting certain men. They're barely.
You women don't have any problems expressing yourself when it's something negative to a male. But let a woman come up here and we have to have a real talk moment. All of a sudden, I don't like this show because I feel low. You don't like this show because your ass don't want to take direct criticism. And you know what? That's why your ass is going to be watching me as long as I do the show. And you ain't going to get a man because
last year and beginning of this year, I stopped matchmaking. And the reason I stopped matchmaking is because I literally was I can't handle female clients. I was a matchmaker that matched females, and I had a few male clients, but predominantly I was matching women. And listen, it was such a valuable lesson for me, because what I learned is that the average woman doesn't really want just a good man. She doesn't want a husband. What she's really wanting are these standards or ideas that she has of what a man is supposed to be. But this is nothing what men are. This is not realistic for who men are, how they think, what they value. It's just this preconceived, idea that women have of who men should be. But this is not reality, okay? So literally, the standards here that I see consistently in women that stay single, do not get married, and the difference between women and wives is understanding, one, that men are not women. He's not going to be your best friend like your best girlfriend. You can't talk to him like that. They don't talk like that. They don't talk that much. They're not so sensitive and girly the way we...
If even female dating coaches are giving up on women and their unrealistic expectations, you know they're the problem. These are women who have spent years trying to guide other women, encouraging them, defending them, helping them navigate relationships. But even they are starting to throw in the towel. Why? because they've seen firsthand how modern women refuse to self-reflect. They want a high-value man, but aren't willing to be high-value themselves. They demand loyalty, provision, emotional intelligence, and leadership, but bring nothing but entitlement, bad attitudes, and a long list of requirements. Female coaches are tired of telling women the hard truths, only to be met with, "Well, if he can't handle me at my worst, he doesn't deserve me at my best." No accountability, no growth, just victimhood and pure delusion.
Girls, it's time for you to start being so for real. You will never outmaneuver, outtalk, outmanipulate a rich, successful older man. It's never gonna happen. You will never outsmart a powerful man. Whatever fantasies they sell you about dressing and speaking and acting a certain type of way so that you can get the results that you want out of a rich man are just that. They're fantasies, nothing else. Because in reality, they can smell that a mile away. They can see when you're lying, when you're scheming, when you're trying to act like you're somebody you're not. Do you think they got all that money by being stupid and not being able to be socially aware and read people? Don't delude yourself. You will not outmanipulate him.
Let's say that you win the lottery. $1 million. Are you leaving your partner? They just did this big study in Sweden. And they say that dudes, if they won the lottery, will say $1 million, they are likely to stay married. In fact, more likely to stay married. Their risk of divorce falls by 40%. Women, on the other hand, they say female lottery winners are twice as likely to get a divorce.
Oh my God.
after they win big.
Oh, really?
This just goes to show that there are a lot of women out there that are still just with a man for what he can provide. And most men are not with women for what they provide to them. And the truth is that men, they just want the same thing. They want a woman that is with him because she loves him for who he is as a person and not for what he can provide. Which is way more genuine, ladies. I'm sorry, guys win this one.
This is not surprising at all. As we all know, most women will sacrifice their family for their own happiness, while the man sacrifices his happiness for his family. Just look at this study where women were asked if they would leave their husbands if they won the lottery. Most of them said yes. That speaks volumes. It shows just how transactional many of these relationships truly are. The thing is, many of these women were on their last leg, past their prime, emotionally drained from chasing the wrong men, dealing with baggage, or realizing the clock was ticking, and they just happened to find a nice guy willing to rescue them. And it's sad, because that nice guy, thinking he finally found someone who appreciates him, ends up being nothing more than a backup plan. They picked a man not because they were truly in love, but because their options were running out. Biological clock ticking, social pressure rising, and the dream guy never showed up.